So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I'm joined by the couch by two members from the band The Watcher. I have Max first, he's the bass player, and I have Paden Reed, he's the singer of the band. So, first of all, how are you guys tonight?
Doing well. Thanks so much for
Yeah,
having us.
doing great. Yeah, thanks so much. We're really we've been talking about this all week. We're very excited. First interview.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. I feel honored that you got excited. So I hope the couch didn't disappoint.
No, no, I'm on my couch as well. I figured, I should show up, and represent the couch as well. So, yeah.
Sometimes I'm not on the couch, but today I am on the couch. So yeah, the you guys are releasing your debut like full length. I believe it's the last. Is it Black Friday that you're releasing this?
It is Black Friday. I didn't
Yeah,
even realize that.
that's how it shook out. But
Yeah.
the record label's from Italy, and I don't think they have Black Friday there. So that's just a
No,
coincidence.
I think that's only in the States,
Yeah,
and here in Puerto Rico we have it too. People go crazy to buy those big screen big screen TVs, but you can put it like it's on Black Friday. Rush to get our album, and
Exactly. It sells
it's called
itself.
it's called Out of the Dark, and it's out on Black Friday. That's perfect marketing right
oh
there.
yeah, I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that.
They probably thought all about this at the record label, and this is just something that we didn't
Yeah,
even consider because we're just dumb as hell. So,
yeah.
They were like,
yeah.
oh yeah, let's put it out. So I listened to the record. So it's put like it's like a doom record, but like I was telling Max offline, I heard there's doom, but there's new wave of British heavy metal influences, and there's even like a punkier track on the
Hmm.
record. So it goes through different like it's because usually like Doom is very slow and monotone, but there's a lot of songs here that have like that 80s flair, like you wanna like fuck you're in the air and have fun with it.
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah, so for people that probably don't know the Watcher, you guys have been around a few years now, and you first put out an EP, an EP that is called Your Turn to Die in 2021. But so you were working on this on 2023. So for people that haven't heard the band, tell us a little bit about how you guys got together.
Well, so I mean, the band has kind of an unusual um story in the sense that it's sort of been a long time in development. I had been in a band for several years, and it was more like slow doom stuff, and I was just kind of gone through the motions, and I wanted to do something a little bit more, you know, uh, aligned with my personal taste in music, which is definitely more traditional heavy metal, new wave heavy metal, and I had recorded a demo of some songs with a friend of mine at the time, Chris, who's still the drummer of the band now. But I didn't have anybody to sing for it. I can't. I'm not a vocalist. And that demo sat sort of just untouched for about 3 or 4 years. Um, I was doing other musical projects during that time, but just never found the right person to sort of come in and that would be excited about it and actually come at it with um, like enthusiasm. And around 2021, a mutual friend of ours, of Paden and mine, introduced us, and the rest is history. I mean, so to speak. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like from the first demo that Paden sent, I was just completely amazed. It was beyond anything I expected to ever come of the project.
Mhm.
Like seriously, one of the greatest days of my life. And but and yeah, and Peyton and I have had a very good partnership and friendship ever since. So yeah.
Hmm.
That's awesome. Plus, Pavement has that classic like metal look, and I know you're sitting down, but it looks like you're like very tall.
I'm like 6'1", so I would say
Okay.
I'm tall. I wouldn't say I'm very tall. I know some
Well,
very tall. Like Chris, the drummer, is like a very tall guy. He's like a couple inches over me. But yeah, I'd say it's also the angle doing some of the work here. I have it propped
yeah,
up on my laptop over here. So yeah, yeah.
it's the impulsive look. So,
Hmm.
Payden, I've listened to the record, and there's like different type of styles vocally
Hmm.
in the record, like more slower, more doomier, more like that raspy type of like 80s metal type of vocals.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about the vocalist and that inspired you, like to get your own style.
Yeah, yeah. I like all kinds of music. I I obviously love heavy metal and all different like subgenres of metal music, from like death metal to black metal to heavy metal. And but like, as far as this band, it was obviously like I think when we recorded the EP, the thing I kind of always tried to reel it back to was like, all right, well, like what would Ozzy do? Like obviously I'm not Ozzy and I'm never going to sound like Ozzy, but like that's kind of like the thing that I kind of kept like feeling was fit the nature of the songs. And with these songs for Out of the Dark, it felt like there was a little bit more room for me to kind of like grow vocally and kind of push myself to emulate a lot of singers like emulate like Rob Halford and Ronnie James Dio and like David Coverdale, I mean like all the kind of like big heavy metal singers that I've always loved and I love their vocals. Like I wanted to do some bigger stuff. But that being said, like I also my voice is my voice and I can do with it what I will. My range is my range. So it's like, I wanted to do stuff that was inspired by those guys and by a lot of those kinds of things. And like obviously we double track a lot of the vocals, so it's kind of got like the Bobby Liebling from Pentagram kind of vibe too, and that was always kind of also an influence for me. I love Pentagram as well, so and the songs kind of have that vibe. So yeah, I would say a lot of just kind of like the classics as far as heavy metal goes. Bruce Dickinson as well. There's some notes on this record that I didn't think I would actually even be able to hit. And that was but it was like kind of the parts kind of called for it. It was like, oh, how do you do this like operatic kind of thing? And so I got to do some of that stuff, which I was, had to work towards, but I'm really glad. And I think they came out really well. So yeah, I appreciate that.
So you push yourself into doing those vocals. What was the technique that made you hit those higher notes?
Well, I had to start actually doing a lot of more kind of like vocal exercises. There was a lot of like, honestly, I mean, it just comes down like in this day and age, it's all pretty much like you can look up anything on YouTube and there's a million
Mhm.
vocal coaches and they all have different, kind of lessons or regiments for people in different, um, vocal ranges. And like I did choir through school, so like I always sang and I knew I was like a tenor. So I'm kind of in like a higher range than most male singers. um and so I kind of looked for vocal exercises to do that. So it's doing a lot of scales, it's doing like breathing exercises, it's like you really have to like learn how to sing, especially if you don't want to like ruin your
Oh, your
voice,
voice, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And which like sometimes is easier said than done, especially I like, like you said, there's some kind of more gruff kind of parts on it and I like stuff like that. And so I'm not always successful in preserving my voice as successful as I'd like to be, but I think it like it's important to like accent some things and to give it that dimension of like um of different textures and flavors and stuff. So yeah, it was a lot of vocal exercises, a lot of like drinking a lot of tea too, especially when we were recording. I was drinking like probably gallons of just hot tea.
That's so metal.
Yeah, yeah. Just down in it. Yeah. So metal. Yeah, yeah.
I was drinking tea. So musically, Max, you write most of the bulk of the music. How did you like for this one? What did you wanted to achieve differently musically from your EP?
Well, so Peyton actually kind of touched on it already, that just about the songs having a little bit more range. Um, and I think the biggest difference between the EP and this is like this was being written, with Paden in the band, like knowing his range, knowing sort of having a sense of where those would fit with the songs and writing. I want to say like writing to that, but also it was very collaborative. So Chris, the drummer, and I, we've worked together for a long time, so we know how to sort of engage with each other in the writing context. And Peyton being part of that this time around as well, like it helped us like kick around ideas, which was a lot of being having some distance between us. It was obviously a lot of back and forth with like demos, refining things, shaping songs to sort of how Peyton envisioned vocals, and stuff like that. And it was very collaborative. And I think in the end, the songs all benefited from that. It's also the first time that we actually were in a room and wrote a song together. So actually, the first single from the album "Burning World," that's the first song that we wrote as a band. It was, Peyton actually came up to Boston to visit for about a week or so in 2022, and that was the first time the three of us were in a room together, and you know that we banged out that song in one of the first or second days. Um, so so it's very different from the EP, which was just kind of like just me, getting something out of my system, whereas this had a destination, so to speak.
Yeah, more collaboration
Hmm.
than the first one, and probably you already like had more of an idea of where you wanted to take the band musically.
Yeah, absolutely. And um, yeah, kind of wanting to, feeling like there was some success with the EP and sort of the combination of influences um, that we kind of showcased there. We didn't want to just ride that out and just kind of, even at that point, like we don't want to just make a whole album of stuff like that. But I'm someone who's very um, analytical and self-critical when it comes to this stuff, and tried to look at, not not overanalyze, but also just kind of look at this album as a music fan and write an album that um, sort of fits what appeals to me about some of my favorite records, right? I know that that's like a pretty cliche answer. I'm sure every band says that, but it's I think it's the most succinct way to put it, is just that that was a goal. We just wanted to write a record that was really influenced by the stuff that influenced us, and um, you know, yeah.
Yeah, and I heard the influences in the track. So the album, it's there's like a running theme through the record. So tell me a little bit about the themes on the record that you cover.
Yeah. I think like vocally or lyrically, there's a lot of themes of kind of like, for me, it was a big thing of like, um, kind of um, like guilt and shame and kind of isolation and internally, internal feelings like that, like really, um, kind of just that overall thing of like guilt, shame, the kind of like things that we carry that we feel, maybe feel bad about or feel like, um, that kind of haunt you, or whatever, things you wish you could have done differently or whatever, and kind of like breaking through that to some degree, but also, wrestling with the fact that like not only, you might have these feelings about these things, but also the world at large, there's these external forces that are really like, I mean, just all encompassing and devastating. I mean, we live in a obviously an insane in pretty insane world right now, and people are more divided than ever, and like things. And so I think lyrically for me this was kind of a way. I don't think I delve too deep to like into direct
Mhm.
discussion of any sort of actual topical things, but I think more so it was just more about encompassing that vibe of how these kind of internal feelings and these kind of like this darkness that we carry kind of also like is encapsulated by these kind of external forces that are also just completely out of our control, and kind of trying to find a way to like, there is like a somewhat optimistic kind of run through of like how you find ways to either like, fight back, or how you know, make your way through the world without letting this all like just completely drag you through the mud, you know? I think that was like a big theme for me, was just kind of discovering like finding catharsis and like the ways that we can overcome these feelings and the world at large, and all that stuff. So that was, I think, a pretty big point for me.
Yeah. So lyrically, these songs can be interpreted differently depending on your point of view.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's a big thing too. Like, I think that, in my opinion, I love like I said before, I like all kinds of music and like, um, some of my favorite songwriters, I think they're really good at writing things in a way where, obviously they're writing about something specific that's happened to them, because that's the only way that you really get any sort of truth out of anything, right? And that has to come through in the music for it to be honest. And I think that gives it, kind of puts it up on another level. But it's also the thing that's so great about so much of that stuff is like people can hear it from all different walks of life or different places or anything, and they can like identify with it, and I think that for me lyrically, like obviously, like, I think it's really cool when people can be really direct with their lyrics and do it in a way that is kind of like, providing like a prose, and doing that. But that's not really my style. I don't think, I don't think that that's something I'm good at translating to like a song format. But I definitely just was really hoping like to write things that people anywhere could hear, and they might have a glimpse of it. But it's still like, the things that I feel, and it's still like true to me. That's like the most important part.
Yeah, no, I think it translates. So to me, one of the most different songs on the record, and also the shortest, is Kill or Be Killed, which is 2 minutes and 19 seconds. So that's like the punkier track in the record. Tell me a little bit about that one, because that one really is like the most different song on the record, at least musically.
It's interesting to hear you say that it's the most different. And I don't disagree with it. To be honest, like that song was in a lot of ways written to serve a purpose for the overall album. Like it just, we had the songs. Cat's gonna stop by. uh, we had, most of the album assembled, and it needed that connective tissue. It needed that sort of just short to the point, like banger track. And basically there's a track by that band Rat from the 80s called I'm
Oh, I
Insane.
remember them.
That song came on one day, and we were just talking to Paden, and just like, we just need a song like that. It's just like
Which song by Rat?
It's called I'm Insane. That's on Out of
Oh,
Cellar,
okay.
right?
Out of the Cellar, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like a really short, like it's a very similar format, like just kind of verse
I
chorus, verse
remember that one.
chorus,
Yeah.
outro. Like but it's just like it's really driving. It's like really like powerful, and I think we felt like the record we had so many like really big
Longer
and
tracks,
gigantic
yeah.
songs, and and like all that stuff, and it was like we just need like the classic like new wave of British heavy metal B-side song, like, or the B-side single, of just like it's just a rocker, like
Can I play
fist
with
bumper.
madness?
Yeah, of course, just like anything that is just gonna get people like, it's gonna just lift the energy up a little bit.
Yeah, that could be a good song to start or to close.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we have it near the end on our
Yeah.
set that we're doing. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's a good way to pump everyone's energy and get stoked for it.
Yeah.
But you have your longer epics, like obviously you end with Thy Blade, Thy Blood, which is an epicer more epic track. Tell me a little bit about that one.
Um, that one, I couldn't even at this point remember the origin of how it came about. But again, when we were looking at writing the album and coming at it, um, with sort of through the lens of some of our favorite records, um, we thought, we wanted to close the album with something pretty like epic, I think putting an 8-minute track in the front or the middle of a record can be kind of a downer because again, even if you're as a listener, if people want to check out at that point, fine, whatever. But what I mean? They've already listened to the rest of the record. But my hope is that people will listen to it all the way through. Um, and I think the payoff is that song coming, sort of taking a turn towards the end and sort of ending the way that I wanted the record to end, which is you know something like Hallowed Be Thy Name, or even something like Damage Incorporated by Metallica, that just ends in
Oh,
this
that's a
hard
great
stop,
album closer. So
Mhm.
underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, so you just want to pepper that stuff in because I think a lot of new wave traditional heavy metal bands are all kind of just like, don't get me wrong. I think right now there's probably more current heavy metal bands that I'm excited about than at any point since I've ever been listening to heavy metal. But as for all the good ones, there's also ones that are a little bit more paint by numbers, which is fine. Um, you know, I'm not trying to go too far up my own ass and say like we're like the Thinking Man's band or anything like that, but because we're not. But it's because I guess that's my point is that it's actually pretty simple. It's like if you look at some of these records that have really stood the test of time, they tell a story, they have a
Mhm.
rhythm to the whole, big picture. And really all we did was borrow from the stuff that we love.
Yeah.
On that note, talking about like records that stood the test of time for everyone, yeah, we can play like I did this video when I started like the 5 records, your 5 essential records that you can't live without.
Mhm.
So who wants to start?
I'll go for
Taylor.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely say I guess at this moment in time, because it always changes, but like Volume 4, Black Sabbath would be one for me for sure. That's just like a sort of, I mean, every song on there, like I still feel excited when it comes on. I would also say Screaming for Vengeance, Judas Priest is a big one for me. Um, what's another one? Probably Powerage, AC/DC is another one for me. Of like that's a record I can listen to and just never get tired of it. And it's like one of the AC/DC is one of the bands that made me like want to play music when I was a kid. So I feel like I have to have that in there. Um, shit, man, there's so much. I think Peace
Sometimes
of
it's not that
Mind.
easy.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Okay.
I would say actually, I would say Killers probably more so, honestly. Like Peace of Mind. The Trooper was like one of the first songs I ever learned on guitar. But I do think like as I got older and Killers was maybe a little bit more important to my like musical upbringing, like and especially because like I was into like punk and hardcore and stuff like growing up, so much. And I feel like that album has more of that going on. And then I think after that, I would have to say, um, I'd add some dynamics here. I would probably put like Towns Van Zandt, like probably like Flying Shoes or something, um,
Mhm.
something soft, or maybe like Neil Young, Harvest Moon. Because I'm kind of a big softie and I love like the kind of more sad country music stuff. So, I think those guys hold special places in my heart as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, good, varied choices. What
Yeah.
what about you, Max?
I'm gonna echo Volume 4. That's definitely
Yeah.
like the Sabbath
I
record,
think
even
that
though
one got like reissued in Was it last year? I think it was last year.
Maybe because that would have been the 50th. Is it
Yeah.
from 73?
Oh yeah, shit.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, I
But
can't
yeah, I'll
remember
go
either.
Volume 4, Overkill by Motorhead. It's like one of my played at my funeral records.
Mhm.
Ride the Lightning by Metallica. Um, Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden, because that was like the first. That was one of the first records that made me sort of branch out into heavy metal beyond Metallica, because I think Metallica is kind of an accessible. Um, that's like a gateway band for punks. That they've been a gateway band for punks since the '80s, you know. Um, and then number 5, I don't know. I'd have to take a wild card on that one. Um, probably. Um, probably one of my favorite records is, and it just because it's kind of like it is a good summation of like a lot of punk, hardcore, and Motorhead is a record by this band Leatherface, which was an old UK like late hardcore but melodic hardcore. I don't know how to put it, but their record Mush. It's probably one of my all-time favorite records because it's a very hard but tender band. That doesn't work for everybody. I don't think Payton's a fan,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're one
I
of my
honestly have like
yeah
not
yeah
even listened to it that much, I
okay
don't think. So I think
okay
I've heard it like once or twice, so
yeah.
I would give it another shake for sure. I trust Max a lot.
Yeah, sounds interesting. And I think, well, it's interesting that you have like some different musical tastes because maybe that makes this album, because like I said, this album, because saying it's just like a doom record, no, it has like different elements to it, which I think makes it more interesting.
Hmm.
I heard them when I was listening to the songs.
Hmm.
Do you all have like a favorite track from this record, or like a one track that you would say, like, if no one has listened to the band, you would say check this song out so you can get like a feel for the band?
Yeah, I think personally for me, the song that I would want to like show people the most from this record is probably on the B side, The Revelator. I'm like really excited for people to hear that one because I think it's like it's different for us for sure because there's like the whole, there's a big different thing at the end and like for me vocally and then also it just is like really riffy, really like, driving up tempo and I think there's like a lot of cool stuff going on. And I think that kind of like it shows and it just like comes out of the gate swinging. I think that one for me is like the one I'm really excited for people to hear, and I would want to show people if, because I think it would like knock their socks off kind of thing. I think like all the songs, I think I could go wrong. Like I feel good. I feel really proud of what we've done, and every song I kind of like more than the others at different times. But I think like the Revelator for me is a very exciting one to like show people, for sure.
It has a cool name too.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
That's
Thank you.
yeah that's a Payton
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
What about
For
you,
me,
Max?
I don't know. I mean, it's similar to Peyton. It's hard to you can't pick a favorite child, you know. I think the one I'll split it. I think like probably the song I I think is the best representation of like the spirit of the band would actually be the title track, Out of the Dark.
Which
Um,
which opens the record?
yeah. Um, it was one of the first songs that we wrote for the album, and I don't know, it has um, I think it conveys something that I never thought I could can accomplish with a band, which is something that that feels hard, heavy, but triumphant, and sort of there is some um, like doom is very monotone. It's very like there's just doom, like But what made stuff like Black Sabbath, particularly, um, the Dio era of Sabbath, so wonderful is that it was, very much about, you know, we live in a world. It's kind of gloomy, but you have something inside of you that can make you sort of overcome all of that, and that's, you know, for anybody who's familiar with Dio, they know Dio's MO. But
Mhm.
Yeah, I think he's
uh,
he's well known.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
so it's that song for me, I think, is you know very proud of that song. And it's a lot of fun to play live. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but I think but we didn't choose that for a single because I feel like that's kind of given away a little bit too much. I think Burning World is a song I'm very proud of because it's a song the first song we wrote together
Mhm.
like in the room, so that's very special for me.
Yeah, picking singles, is that something that's hard for you guys, or like how do you go about it? Because there's sometimes I've seen bands that like they say they pick a song that they didn't like, and it ends up being
Mhm.
the single, and it ends up being the most surprising hit. I think
Yeah,
there's a few
it's
bands.
like people asking Metallica to play Escape at like every show, and they hate playing that song. Like they
I
like
don't know
don't
why
ever want to
I
play it.
love that song.
Yeah, 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 totally. Um, no, I think well for I think like for us it was pretty unanimous like with Burning World because like we that was the one that kept kind of coming back whenever we would like, when we were demoing it out and everything and showing it to people, it seemed like that was always getting high marks. And then like I remember Max had mentioned Enrico from Cruz del Sur had mentioned that he thought that that would be a great first single as well. So it kind of
That's the
came from
label,
like
people.
yeah, it came from us, it came from the label, and we were like, well, we're happy with that. So, yeah, I think it was thankfully pretty natural, pretty unanimous process. The second one we did deliberate on a little bit, but with Kill or Be Killed, with the one we released second, we did deliberate on it a little bit, but it was not like any I've had other, band discussions that have been a lot more crazy than that one. That one was pretty, we kind of took a vote and that was as crazy as it got, so it was chill.
Nice. So on that note, let's see the artwork of the album, so we can talk about the artwork. So here we go. Here's the
Yeah.
artwork for Out of the Dark. So yeah, it's pretty cool artwork, and I was reading that this was done by an artist in Austin, Texas.
Correct. Yeah,
hmm
Bernie, or he goes by Bernie. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this kind of artwork. It looks like very like biblical, like we're talking like it has like that. You have the woman and what appears to be like some creatures of some kind. So tell me a little bit about what you wanted for this artwork. Was this a piece that the artist had, or did you like show him the music or tell him what you wanted?
Yeah, no, this is completely original for the album. So we actually had commissioned a different artist to do the artwork before we even recorded, um, and that didn't really go as planned. We'll leave it at that, but it pushed things out considerably, and I had a pretty good sense of what I wanted for the album. I wanted something that had a feeling of like a piece of classical art, so sort of some of the stuff that you're referring to is, just not necessarily biblical in the literal sense, but has an epic feel to it. It's not just something I found in an art book, scanned it, and called it done. It had to be something original. In my opinion, it just and there's so many artists out there. Finding the right artist is like a needle in a haystack. And I'm really fortunate that we crossed paths with Bernie, because he was nothing short of amazing to work with, especially compared to the other artists that we had worked with prior. Um, so in the end, it all worked out. But with Bernie, it was he's coming from the same influences of art that we were looking to sort of bring through in the cover. Um, I showed him some reference pieces. He knew that he already knew the pieces. He's like, those are great. I love those pieces like that, and he kind of took it and ran. But it was very collaborative in the sense he was sending me sketches on like a almost every day of just concepts, things that he was playing with, lighting, getting things dialed in. All in all, it took, I think, from start to finish, took a few months for him to sort of actualize the final piece, which doesn't seem like that much time, but it really, he spent hours and hours and hours on this. The actual piece is quite large too, and it's all graphite, which requires a lot of time, patience, and precision. So, in the end, I couldn't have been happier with how the artwork came out, and I couldn't imagine it being with anybody besides Bernie.
Yeah, it looks really good, and it's the dark tones and with the light. So yeah, it's a cool album artwork. It's very metal. It's a very metal artwork. And that's something you wanted to you wanted, like old school mentality, that you want like that artwork to like pop, like be, like it's a representation of the band.
Yeah, and it's sort of based on conversations that Peyton had. I thought, wanted something that kind of captured that, some of the themes that Peyton mentioned earlier, really, was just kind of overcoming sort of demons in the literal sense in this piece. But I mean, those demons can be internal, they can be external forces, they can be anything. But still, using those as themes, those sort of dark themes of the songs, and but with that message of hope that Peyton mentioned as well.
Yeah,
Not
it's
hope.
a cool.
Hope's corny. It's
Yeah.
optimism.
No, I think
I don't know.
think that's fair. Like,
Yeah.
the optimism, or just kind of like the fact that there's, like, you can kind of, break out of the mold, essentially. That, whether it's internal or external forces put you in. And you just have to work for it. But like, yeah, I think that, with the art, it was, important for us too to make it, have that ambiance and relate it to the themes. But I think it was also like, we wanted to do some stuff differently. I think it was like important for us to have like a feminine figure too, just because it was
Mhm.
something, unique, and kind of suggested a different level of vulnerability, perhaps, to it. And I think that really kind of worked for it. I think it was cool. It's not just like a muscly dude, like punching his way through the darkness. It's like,
This
it's
is
a
not well, oh my God, I forgot the name of that band that always had the cladded boots. Oh, what's the
Manowar?
I don't know.
Man-O-War. Is that? Yeah.
War, yes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
always scantily clad, and they threw like some stuff at it,
They
but
invented
no,
Yeah.
it though,
you
so
need like that type of like front man. Like you have to throw something so you're glossy on stage and things. So you guys, you said, you mentioned some shows. Like, do you have, now that the album's gonna be out soon? Are you gonna be playing some shows in this year, or like an album release?
uh, yeah. So an
Yeah.
accidental album release. We
Oh,
booked
that's
a
a good
show.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we booked a show on the 29th. So we wanted to do a couple shows before the end of the year. So we booked a
Mm.
show on the 29th of the month, and as fate has it, that's when the record's coming out. So
Yeah.
Where's the show?
shows up in Massachusetts, in a city that's sort of west of Boston, called Worcester. But it's a pretty strong metal scene out there. We'll be playing with some friends' bands. It'll be Yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Awesome. You should do a cover of "Shot in the Dark."
Yeah,
But-
yeah. Oh, I was just listening to that song the other day at work. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah,
Yeah, well, it goes with the theme of the dark. So you're gonna
absolutely.
have that accidental album release show, and people can pre-order the record. It's gonna be out on. I read that it's gonna be out on black vinyl, right? Do you have like an
But
extra black variant?
like I got to actually get the record.
Got
Ah,
the physics. Yeah, we got them in
Yeah,
early.
it just came yesterday. But they won't be out till 29th. So just black vinyl, which is personally my preference. I think color
yeah.
vinyls
You need
kind
to
of
put it extra black.
Yeah,
it's black and
extra
Extra
depressing.
dark. Yeah.
dark
Yeah,
since the
right.
album is out of the dark. So I'm assuming for the record that show you'll have some copies if people gonna go to the show.
We will.
Absolutely. Yeah. We should. Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. So you put it out, and are you guys still, are you the type of band that are always working on music, or what's next? What are the next plans for you for next year, 2025?
Um, I think like at this point we're playing these two shows. It's so our band also like I don't know if we've ever really gotten to get in the weeds of this, but like we're like kind of a long distance project because those guys the like Max and our two other like guitar players and Chris the drummer. Those guys all live in Boston. One of our guitar players lives in Providence, Rhode Island, which is not too far away, but I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I'm like,
I went to Pittsburgh a few years ago.
did you really?
Yes,
Did
and
you like
I
it?
remember yeah, it's I like it. I like when you go to the tunnel and then
Yeah.
it
Oh
finishes and you see
yeah.
the city, and it's good because
Uh-huh.
it's not a small city, but it's not like
Right.
a huge city. Uh,
Yeah.
so
No,
it
it's
has.
very it's a crazy place. I'm not from here originally. I moved out here a few years ago, but I it is a very different kind of city because it's so separated by the rivers and the bridges and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
um but yeah, so that being me being here in Pittsburgh, um it's kind of like we can't get together as much as we want. Like I think we would all be kind of like, if I was there, we'd probably be playing like a lot more shows locally or kind of like in the general vicinity of the Northeast, but we kind of have to plan things in advance. So we have been kind of like talking about shows next year. Potentially we've been kind of like given some offers too and stuff. So we're like we're figuring that stuff out, but we kind of just have to do it on our timetable because when we're together, because sometimes doing stuff over the phone, especially this close to the record release, it's like stuff gets lost in the weeds
Mm.
of the group chat or whatever. So we want it to be like we're all in the same room together. We can all like put it on our calendars together and march forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we're
makes sense.
still in the big picture, even though the band's been around for a bit. We're still a new band.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just kind of depends what comes our way.
Hmm.
As Peyton said, we've already been gotten some invitations to do some shows that would be great if they work out. But um, kind of one thing at a time. I think once the record's out, um, pretty quickly we're going to get the itch to be writing again,
Hmm.
and it's going to be a different dynamic from even when we wrote the album. Just again, as Peyton mentioned, we brought in uh, two guitar players that are both live out here. So there's gonna be more cooks in the kitchen, but I feel good about it. I feel I feel optimistic about it, and
Yeah.
I am actually pretty eager to do that. But it's kind of hard to even think past Black Friday between the album coming out and
And
getting our
all the deals you're gonna
televisions and all the
get.
deals
Yeah,
we're gonna get.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Cultures, you heard it here first. This Black Friday, get out of the dark.
yeah.
Man.
Leave that TV.
Deal of the
Leave,
year, dude. You don't need another TV. You just need the
you
record.
don't need
That's
another
it.
TV.
No,
You
yeah.
you need to watch your record. Show it again. Like we're you need
Yeah, the
the
advertisement. There you go.
the watcher record. See, we can turn this into a short, and that could be your advertisement. So, guys,
Perfect.
I want to thank you, Peyton and Max, for joining me tonight to chat about Out of the Dark music and everything in between. So,
Hmm.
before I let you guys go, anything you like to say to the people?
I hope when Black Friday rolls around, you get in on the deal on the ground floor. It's a once in a lifetime deal, so no, but I hope people listen to the record, and I hope wherever you are in the world, I hope you're staying as safe and as good as you can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope people like the record. Best thing you can do if you like that record is share it with people. That's it. All about
Yeah.
sharing.
So that's true. So yeah. So Couchers, you heard it here, The Watcher, the album Out of the Dark is gonna be out November the 29th, Black Friday. So I'll post the link for people who want to pre-order that. So until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.